It's hard to process information during pain. You're thinking about fight or flight, save yourself. That's not a rational thought. It's not a thought that's going to get you through hard times.
If you're comparing yourself to someone or even to a future self, and the gap is so painful that it paralyzes you, then you've created a dragon that you don't have the tools to master. And so what you have to do is you have to scale the dragon down to size. And you want to scale the dragon down to size until it's a size that you are willing to move toward.
You only have 24 hours in a day. You got to learn to manage the time that is given to you. And this sacrifice is required. This means that you can't binge watch your favorite television show every day. Log out of the social media, get off the internet, unplug, and evaluate where you are and where you're supposed to be.
So a lot of people can take one more step, but they choose not to. I don't know if you can take 2 steps. You got to answer that question after you take the first step. But I can always take one more step, so if I choose not to, that's on me. And I got to live with that.
And so you're not going to get it done perfectly, but that's okay. Get it down. Get a rough first draft down, right? A rough approximation of who you could be if you got your act together.
But if you woke up in the morning and looked in the mirror and said, I am failing because of me, the decisions that I make, the energy I put in, I'm not passing the blame. If you look in the mirror tomorrow and say that, you will change.
There are going to be nights you're going to cry yourself to sleep. There are going to be times you're going to want to throw in the towel. But if you keep going, your future self will thank you.
My dreams are too big. The things that God has for me is too great. I cannot be stopped.
It is diligence and dedication that separates the all-time greats from the one-hit wonders. Do you want to do this thing one time? Or do you want to be notorious for winning over and over and over again?
We might be through with our past, but our past is not through with us.
We deal with so much stuff in our past, we letting energy and things that happened in the past affect our emotions right now. That's crazy. Everybody is facing setbacks. Everybody is feeling pressure. Everybody is feeling like this anxiety, like can they do it? Are they smart enough? Will they make it? So what you have to choose, right, you're gonna go through this heat and pressure and come out the other side shining, or are you gonna let it crush you? And at a certain point, we all have to make that choice. We all have to make that decision. Otherwise, someone's gonna make it for us.
It's your reaction to adversity, not adversity itself, that determines how your life story will develop. Rock bottom is the solid foundation to build the future. When you've lost everything, you have everything you need. You need endurance. You need stamina to reach some goals. You're not gonna hit the million with the first investment. You're not gonna hit the home run always at first swing.
I will never accept defeat. It doesn't say I will never face defeat. It don't say I will never have defeat. It says I will never accept defeat. I will never quit don't mean, that everything is easy. It means that even if I don't think I'm good enough, I don't think I'm smart enough, I'm not gonna quit on myself. I'm gonna see it through to the end.
I don't care what the adversity has been. You have 2 choices. You can be unforgiving, bitter, angry, upset, and be a carrier of grief, or you can choose resilience.
What you will realize is that you have greatness within you. What you'll realize is that you're more powerful than you can ever begin to imagine. What you will realize is that you're greater than your circumstances, that you don't have to go through life being a victim.
All right, so when you're first learning how to ride a bike, your dad, your mom, sister, somebody's holding the seat, right? They're holding the seat, you're pedaling, they let go. What happens when they let go? Who said that? Say it louder. What happens when they let go? You fall. Everybody understands that, right? We all get that concept, okay? So you get back up, you're crying, you scrape your knees. It doesn't feel good to fall, right? Falling on the concrete does not feel good, okay? So you get up, but you get back on the bike. They hold the seat, you're pedaling, they let go, you get a little further, and then what happens, sir? You're gonna fall again. It takes a few times, right? Everybody has been through that experience in some way, right? You get what I'm saying? Here's the lesson. It's the falling off the bike that helped you find the balance.
You already know what failure feels like. You already know what it feels like to quit, to stop, to throw in the towel, to sit on the couch. But do you know what it's like to give everything that you have and push and persevere and to upload the program of resiliency to your hard drive?
You will fail your way to success. See, 85% of people allow their fear of failure to outweigh their desire to succeed. You're going to make some mistakes, and it's okay. Anything that's worth doing is worth doing right if you know how to do it. But if you don't know how to do it, it's worth doing badly until you get it right.
Falling off the bike actually helped you find the balance. And I want you to use that logic when you think about your life. The failures we go through, the setbacks we have, they actually help us on our life journey.
But you can't see that opportunity if you keep looking at the setbacks, keep focusing on what didn't go right.
Stop waiting for the storm to pass and ask yourself the question, what can I accomplish in the rain?
Give yourselves a round of applause for having an uncommon desire to reach your goals, to achieve something great with your life. Bring your level of energy up.
The wise man once said that whatever does not kill you only makes you stronger.
Okay? You've been trained, keep your head down, don't embarrass yourself, don't embarrass the family, don't say things that may not happen. And I do just the opposite. You will never exceed your highest expectation. You will never exceed your highest, craziest thought. Never. That's a guarantee.
So is that what it needs? You have to be hungry, you need to feel the pain.
Growth only comes through pain.
So, if you wake up tomorrow morning and blame your failure on someone or something else, you have no reason to change, do you?
Let's make a little vision of that. You're 35, you hate your job. What's the consequence? You're not motivated, you don't want to get out of bed in the morning, you're starting to get depressed, you're getting bitter, you're getting resentful, you're getting cynical, you're amotivated at work, you're not doing a very good job, and you're starting to shrink. Now play that out for 10 years. You don't change it, you don't fix it. And what happens? Well, it's not like it's going to get better of its own accord. What's going to happen to you? Well, for sure, at minimum, what's going to happen to you is you're going to be in the same situation, but 10 years older. And if you can't get out of that situation now, what the hell makes you think you're going to get out of it in 10 years?
It's real easy to not let judgment come in when you have empathy for the other person and know they're just seeing a clip of you or just one moment of time. They don't know you. Everybody's slow because they value other people's opinions. I just have no time for that.
No, my friend, don't pray for me. You pray for my enemies because they're the ones who need it the most. Because while I'm running in the cold, forbidden rain, you know what my enemies are doing? My enemies are sleeping. My enemies are bathing in jealousy. My enemies are living in envy because they don't have the consistency. They don't have the dedication to get up every single day and make it happen, my friend. So you pray for my enemies because my enemies are the ones who need it the most.
The greatest version of life I've ever seen is the one I'm living, which is nobody ever disappoints you because you never expected anything from anybody. I'm telling you right now, you want to talk about why so many of you aren't exactly where you want to be? Look deep inside yourself on what your expectations of others are. And then the worst fuckers of you are the ones that do shit expecting something more in return.
But you have the opportunity every single day to make extraordinary decisions. Your daily decisions, your habits, your programming, the way that you think, the way that you talk, the way that you walk, blood, sweat, tears, sacrifice.
Because my enemies don't understand. They don't understand the grind. They don't understand the hustle. They don't understand coming back from adversity to come out on top, my friend.
Every single day. Somebody said yesterday, E.T., you gave 120. What you gonna do tomorrow? I said, I don't know. Get 140. I don't know, but I don't have days where I don't feel like it. Why? Because I'm counting on me. My wife's counting on me. I don't have days to waste.
And you're in Hell Week, and you're hour one of 130 fucking hours. All you want to do is go back home. You want the warmth. You may want something to eat. You want your girl to hold you. All those things of comfort are there in that 1 second. And this is where people lose. How hard that training is, I don't expect anybody to understand it, but 1%. But the loud voices of this world are the 99% who don't understand exactly what you have to do. So I ended up doing almost like back-to-back 200-mile runs. So I got lost the first time. I got seriously sick, was off course. So basically, I bed down about 12 hours. Then I got back in the race. So I was still part of the official race now. Got back in the race after 12 hours of being out of the race. So now I get to about 200 and some odd miles and I'm sick as hell. Can't breathe, high altitude pulmonary edema. Now the doctor tells me, if you get off course now and you go to the doctor, you won't be able to come back and finish the race. So I had to make a call. So this is where you're talking about. I'm literally laying in bed and I'm feeling better. I thought, honestly, I swear to God, I thought that someone was speaking to me. It was like, you're not done yet, motherfucker. It was actually probably my subconscious saying, get your ass back out there.
This isn't for glory.
No. This is now for the fact that you can. So either you can sit here and not and think about that for a whole year, or you can go out there for yourself and take some kind of pride in knowing that you could and you did. You figure it out by going inside yourself, by callousing over the victim's mentality. You're always a victim, even if you have everything in life, until you realize what you've achieved. And they forget that. And it takes a very, very unique person and unique mind to do some of these jobs that are necessary in this world. So we are the only access. We have to save ourselves. Mental hardening, mental toughness, it's a perishable skill. Just because you went through some training once and you got through it doesn't mean it lasts fucking forever. And that's where most people hated me, because I realized that. You recall fucking everything. And you definitely must recall when it comes to the mind. That is one of the biggest requalifications you must have. And when you're at that level, you got to recall every fucking day. A lot of people, man, how do you do what you do? At the end of the day, I ask myself one question: can I take one more step? And usually the answer is yes. So if you can answer that question and not take another step, that is real failure. So a lot of people can take one more step, but they choose not to. I don't know if you can take 2 steps. You got to answer that question after you take the first step. But I can always take one more step. So if I choose not to, that's on me. And I got to live with that. All the fucking times that I was like, I'm not going back. And I went back. I'm not going back. And I went back. I'm not going back. And I went back. It showed me even more of what we have as humans, if we're willing to go there and we're willing to push that extra step. I'm always looking for more. I'm always looking for what's the next thing for myself. How can I grow? And that right there was the next thing for me.
I had to take myself to the sewer to show people, hey, I come from hell. Once you come face to face with who you are, you have a starting point. All right, I'm not real smart. I have no courage. I have no self-esteem. I have no nothing. Nothing. That's my starting point. Now we can move from there.
What do you think most people get wrong about motivation?
They think it's a permanent fix. They think it's something that is a constant. They think that maybe once I get it, I'm gonna hold on to it. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. And a lot of times you have to learn to perform without motivation. You have to learn to perform without purpose. You have to learn to perform a lot of different things. And that's what people think. They think I need to have this motivation to work out, to study, to be better. So if they don't have it, they just don't fucking do it. And that's where you fail. You have to learn to train your mind well beyond motivation. If you have motivation, that's great. That's some kindling to the fire. All it takes is a little bit of spark, you can burn the whole forest up. But motivation, you have to learn to exist without it. You have to learn to be, you have to be your best self when you're least motivated. And that's the tricky part about all that. Motivation is just a word. You have to have these different things in your mind on where you want to go and know that motivation is not going to get me there. Because I'm not going to always be motivated.
Jocko said the exact same thing. He said that discipline eats motivation for breakfast.
But without a clear headspace, there's no discipline. Discipline is great. Motivation is great. But if you can't fit shit in your brain because it's all fucking cluttered with shit, there's no discipline.
The first rule of success is to have a vision. You see, if you don't have a vision of where you go, and if you don't have a goal where you go, you drift around and you never end up anywhere. I mean, as you know, I was born in 1947 in Austria after the Second World War. And I didn't really like Austria when I grew up. I couldn't wait to get out of there. I couldn't see myself becoming a farmer or a worker in a factory or anything like that. Even though my parents wanted me to stay there and have a normal life. But that was their vision, not mine. My vision was totally different. I felt that I was born for something special, for something unique, for something big. One day after school, I walked by a store in Graz, and it was the only store that really sold kind of American stuff. So I went inside and I looked around and I looked at this stuff, and then I saw a magazine. I saw a bodybuilding magazine that had Reg Park on the cover. And on the cover it said, how Reg Park, Mr. Universe, became the Hercules star. So I bought the magazine, I took it home and I read it over and over from the front page to the back. It had everything in there, how he trained in a factory town, how he worked out every day for 3-4 hours and became the strongest man of Europe, and how he won Mr. Europe, Mr. Great Britain, and then eventually Mr. Universe. I read that and I said to myself, wow, this is the blueprint for my life. This is exactly what I want to do. I want to become a bodybuilding champion just like Reg Park. I want to get into movies just like Reg Park. And I want to make millions of dollars and be rich and famous just like Reg Park. 74% hate their job in America. Now, there is not much different when you come to Europe. The majority of people don't like what they're doing because they're really not doing it because they didn't have a goal and they followed this goal. They just aimlessly drift around, and then all of a sudden there's a job opening, so they get that job because you have to work. But then when you work, it's a chore. It's work. It's not fun. That is unbelievable if you think about it. So I felt so blessed that I knew what I was doing.
Were you surprised when your dad said that to you?
Yeah.
When you were going to take a pivot in life trajectory?
I was fully stabilizing in that moment. As I said, I called Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. He'll have had a beer. He's already had dinner. Not Monday, because that's the first day of the work week. He'll be a little more stressed. When I unload this, that I don't want to go to law school, I want to go to film school. And I really thought he was going to go, you want to do what? Again, the family I grew up in, the idea of me thinking that the idea of going into film, very Saturday idea, a hobby idea, not a job. And when I shared it with him, the pause that he took, another bead of sweat started on my back of my neck before he goes, well, don't half-ass it. Now, I will say this, though. I do know now the way that I asked him is part of the reason he gave me that answer. I really wasn't asking him. I called him and said, Dad, I don't want to go to law school anymore. I want to go to film school. I didn't go, I'm not sure about law school. If I'd have stuttered into that, I think he would have, again, heard me half-assing what I wanted and gone.
In the process of being told to not half-ass it, you didn't half-ass it.
The way I asked. He asked, and he heard my own conviction do it. Look, when he said don't half-ass it, he wasn't only giving me permission, he was giving me a responsibility. He was going, I knew I had his word with me in my future decisions. I was making them for more than myself. I wanted to fail less because I didn't want to embarrass him. And that was extra motivation, extra strength, extra courage, extra sobriety, extra let's find out. Go for it, man.
I said, I'm going to tell you a story about my dad. He says, yeah, what's that? I said, when I first had my son, Patrick Tico, he was 6 months old or something like that. And I went to my dad, I said, Dad, when I was living in Iran with you, you would travel, you would work 6 days out of the week. And you would leave 5 a.m. in the morning and you'd come home at 8:30 and you expected us to be in bed by 8 o'clock because your standards, so we wouldn't see you but Fridays. I said, and on Sundays, you were an early bird. You'd wake us up at 6, we'd go to Park Shahan Shahi. Then we'd go to church, a Syrian church. Then we'd go to grandma's house, eat her food. Then we'd come back home. You'd take a 2-hour nap. You'd listen to your music with the headphones. Then he would come back, have dinner, watch a movie, and then we'd go to sleep, right? I said, when I calculate the days you spend with us in 10 years, it's 52 days a year, times 10, 520 days, out of 3,650 days. You had 3,650 days in 10 years, but you only saw us 520 days. Did it bother you? Do you ever regret that as a father? No hesitation. He says, no regrets. I said, Dad, don't tell me this because you're protecting your ego. Do you feel like you regret any of it? Like you wish you would have worked less to spend more time with us? He says, 0. He says, what is my job as a father? Isn't my job as a father to teach you and raise you to be strong so you can be independent without having to rely on anybody else? Meaning you can stand on your own 2 feet and you can go out there and take your own family and take care of it. Isn't that the job of a father? Yes. How are you doing? I said, I'm independent. He said, then I did my job right. He says, I don't regret any of it. He says, I enjoyed every minute I had with you guys. I had so much fun with you and Paulette. I said, that's very good to hear because as a man now that I'm getting through the next phase, I like hearing that from my own father. But I said, I want to say something to you as well. He says, what's that? I said, I'm 33 sitting here thinking about this with you, and I also don't have any regrets that you weren't there. Everybody in Iran, you're working. I said, I saw other dads that weren't workers. And sometimes they didn't have money and they were going through challenges. My daddy worked his ass off to provide. How lucky I am to have a father that provided for me. I said, I wanted you to know from me that I also have no guilt for you. You're the best thing that ever happened to me as a father. I love you and I appreciate your example. You know why I didn't feel guilty? He says, what? He says, if you're away from your family or you're at a bar getting drunk, you're a bad dad if you're doing that because you don't have moral authority. Why would you not spend time with your kids over drinking and going to a bar? Why would you not want to be there and start going and hanging out and just doing other kind of stuff? Why wouldn't you want to spend more time with your kids, right? He said, but if you're away from your kids, you better make it count and you better win. That is the only way they'll forgive you. If you use that time to win. This is why Kobe's kids loved him. This is why Michael's kids, this is why anybody that lives and performs at the highest level, at least the kids sit there and say, even though daddy was away, even though mommy was away, at least he or she used that time wisely to win. Then when there's experiences, you remind them, look where we are, This is because mommy and daddy worked very hard. So as an entrepreneur, executive driven person, at one point, you're gonna hit that wall where that guilt's gonna be felt. And anybody and everybody can give you advice. I can tell you what to do, but at the end of the day, you have to make that decision yourself. I made my choice to go after my vision because long term, I'd like to be able to set up a position where these kids are in business with me in many, many different ways. They don't have to do the same thing, all three of them, but I like long term for our family to be closer, simply because the decisions daddy's making today.
Wait a minute now. So we're saying if success is the key, if success is the measurement, and you can get it by lying, cheating, and stealing, and still be rewarded the gold medal. That's what's happening. Are we ready to say that's okay? Are we ready to say that's just how it is? We have leaders in positions now that are saying, yeah, just win. Well, just win, just succeed. But yeah, I don't care how you get there. You did it. Congratulations, come to the front of the line. So what are the ethics? I don't know, what'd the winner do? Well, but wait, what about rules? Oh yeah, by the way, the rules, if you follow them, you're a sucker. I started to find myself going, oh, wait a minute. I'm not ready to wave that white flag. Are we ready to wave that white flag and go, we can see that's what it is, because there's many reasons to do so. And so I'm looking around at people and going, I'm not finding people to believe in, and I'm finding it harder to believe myself.
But although those people might get to the front of the queue and be awarded the medal that you're awarded, or the queue that you get to the front of, might not actually give you what you want. And you start by sort of reframing success, which I think is a really important thing, especially for a young generation, especially for men who are, the first to want to get to the top of the pyramid in certain pursuits in life. And okay, you can get to the top of the pile, or you can get the gold medal, but be careful what that medal represents, and a medal in what?
Right.
And
what relevant for what? We all want to be relevant. Okay, like relevant for what? We want to succeed, but when we succeed, do we act? Is it worth it if we don't profit?
Yeah, you said, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If more, we're trained to go, the quantity is the goal. That's it. Well, then if that's sacrificing quality, or value, what we actually value, what are you really winning?
Sometimes you can do everything right and still not get the result that you wanted, and that seems like a really tough pill to swallow for people. I think that's why people become uncomfortable with fully feeling their emotions.
Yeah.
So where do you go? What do you think when I gave it my all there, I bared myself, and I still got kicked in the nuts?
Yep. Not only did I feel like I deserve it, I feel like I earned it, and I still didn't get it. Wait a minute, but you said that's the playbook, and I followed the playbook. You said these were the rules and the regulations. I followed it. And I was good at it. I still didn't get it.
Is there something that you try to remember about the upside of a crisis during a crisis, or do we just need to ride that out? Zooming out would be so beautiful, and in retrospect, if only you could give yourself the gift of distance, of time.
Yeah.
And yet something hard is going to come again, and you're going to be swept away by the wave.
I mean, for me, I think it's an obvious dance of the both, because you can't jump to the objective right away and go, Inshallah, oh, fate'll have it, this too shall pass, I'm fine. No, because then you don't deal with the crisis. I do have a pretty quick threshold for being able to laugh, like honestly start giggling when I'm in the shit, because I've found that I'm able to handle the shit better if the quicker I start going, are you kidding me? I'll get objective and remind myself things like, you gonna die, McConaughy, which gives me that, this is not as big of a deal as I thought. The result, which we know there isn't really one, and we cannot imitate someone else's exact result. We're gonna have our own way to get there. The approach is all. I think that's the best our life can get, is one constant approach, and with many different approaches, but knowing there is no result.
You know the story of Sisyphus? A man gets cursed, I think he was a demigod, gets cursed to roll a boulder up a hill. It's a heavy, heavy boulder. He rolls it uphill, and just as he gets to the very top, he stumbles and it falls down and crushes him.
Okay.
And he needs to walk back to the bottom, turn around, pick it back up, and Albert Camus' famous line is, "We must imagine Sisyphus happy." That this pointless pursuit, that he finds joy in the process of doing it.
So I grew up only knowing sort of the courage of the persistence. Be resilient, endure, get up, dust yourself off, go. The problem with that, the Achilles heel with that, is if you get up and you have the courage to keep on going every time and get up and dust yourself off, you make the same mistakes each time around because you never backed up to have what I've now learned and still learning is the courage to go, no, I'm going to let some people pass me in the race right now because I'm going to look at why I keep stepping in that damn same pothole and twisting my ankle, the same spot. Why I keep failing when I try to get that next spot in this relationship, or failing in this place to get this product of my craft to the next.
Would that be the relinquishing of the rom-com era in a small part for you?
A small part, yeah. Yeah, it was definitely courageous. I did honestly think I'd written myself a one-way ticket out of Hollywood. People close to me, basically almost everybody besides my wife, was like, "What is your major malfunction, little brother?
You got it made.
Why are you throwing a jackknife in this stuff where you're tripping yourself running downhill, man? You did it." I had my wife and myself to remind myself of that 4 a.m. clarity that I had in tears when I was like, "No, I'm rolling the dice. I'm sticking with it." Yeah, man. I did think I wrote myself a ticket out of Hollywood. I did look at other vocations, become a teacher, a wildlife guide. I seriously looked at those things. But over time, and it was about 20 months, it was gone long enough, had found anonymity enough, was not in your living room in a theater in a rom-com, you didn't see me on a beach shirtless. Where is he? Turning down the $14.5 million offer made people go, "Oh shit, what's he up to?" You don't just step out of Hollywood and enter, unless you turn that down because you got a plan. You got somewhere you want to go. And I think that made me more attractive as a new novel idea. But that was, that risk I think it's fair to say that took a fair amount of courage from me.
We often see resistance as a form of failure and something that we should endeavor to avoid. You think about the avoidance of like people building families, or even many people consider that we're living in a bit of a comfort crisis. This is slightly a different sort of analogy, but most of the diseases that we have today, whether they're diseases of, I don't know, the mind, like, people feeling lonely and isolated, or physical diseases, 80% of Americans getting back pain, but no one in the Hadza tribe in Africa getting back pain. They're all a consequence of us continually choosing comfort, which is a short-term friend but long-term enemy. And resistance, I think, is something increasingly we can choose, opt out of.
Oh, and we've out-convenienced ourselves. What's AI gonna do to us? Talk about convenience. How much, and I want to keep hearing studies, I wonder if you have an opinion on this. How much of you coming up with an idea and then writing and rewriting it, thinking about it, no, that's not our next word. Oh, no, this is what I really mean and how to get it done. How much of that is really valuable to get it beyond just an intellectual idea, more valuable than just going, there it is. Because what comes out of AI, incredibly impressive. My hunch is that, we can use it for like signpost to help us. Oh, that's good. Thank you for helping me organize. But there's a value to us going through the sweat equity of learning something.
But through history, people like Richard Feynman, the physicist, has said the best way to learn something is to learn it and then to go through the pain of writing it, condensing it down to a simple truth like you do so often in your new book, Poems and Prayers, and then sharing it with the world and then getting the feedback. And if the world understood it like you meant it, like that poem you just shared, you understand it. That's evidence that you get it.
Right.
So I think AI is going to be great for me saying something to you, but not learning something myself. And I think if you want to defend creativity and innovation and the ability to think, you actually have a huge opportunity, which is to go left when everyone's going right.
Well, now we're going into, I got that thing in there. I said, what's better? Take eight big risks in life, sin once, miss the mark once, but get achieve seven out of 8, or take 100 risks and achieve 8 of them. My hunch is that if there's a God, he's saying, go for the 100 and get 8, rather than 8 and get 7. If you're not taking enough risks to sin or miss the mark, which is what sin means, to fail, what are you doing? Don't come back with even money. Come back with the safe bets, which that can become a sort of recessive peace and namaste. No, it's almost a. I don't think it's what the mystics meant when they were like, be disattached. I think it meant go embrace, but for highs and lows and pains and pleasures, understand that those outward things are not the things to be attached to for your own identity. It's got to be inward first. Enjoy those, partake, but don't become attached to those for your measure.
Without complacency, trust that time is on your side.
Yep.
What do you mean there?
Yeah, man. Don't get ahead or behind it. And I can get in a rush. And I haven't found, look, and I know how to hustle, and let's go. The clock's ticking. We're all behind. All hands on deck. We got to bust ass. No time for pause. There's no sleep, no nothing. Get the caffeine out. Let's go. Sometimes we got to do that. But that is usually because an unforeseen circumstance has happened, that there's a crisis we got to deal with, or we've procrastinated and I put myself in that position where we got to cram. But it's not those two circumstances. We got to watch ourselves getting ahead of time. And it's on your side. It's a little what I mean about the living longer and living more quality. Time's on our side. And we're forced to think and feel, especially today with how fast things move, that more productivity, faster pace, more information, faster pace, it's better. We're ahead of time a lot. It's the John Wooden, a great basketball coach for UCLA. Be quick, but don't be in a hurry. That was his note to his basketball players. It's like, be quick, but don't be in a hurry. You will miss things. You know, it's the Lego set, man. And you sit there and you get in a rush. You don't read the directions. You get to the end and you've got 12 pieces left. And you're like, shit. Because you got in a hurry. You got ahead of time. Instead of just that feeling of, I've checked out what I need to do and it's all adding up and this thing's built right and the foundation's right and boom, there's the last piece, it fits. Voila. It was with time. Time's on our side. It's not an enemy. The end. Death is not the enemy. I do believe that part of, not in a rush to get there, and we want to stave it off sometimes, and that it can be a screaming fight, and partially denial can help us get there. I understand that, but still, it's on our side. It's going to happen. And since it's going to happen, and that's non-negotiable, might as well go, well, I'm not going to rush to try and make more of it than there is. I want to try and spend the time I got as well as I can, produce, succeed, achieve, well, whatever those things are, but also at a pace that I'm me, that I like to dance to. I like the give and the take. I like the reverb. I like the cause and effect of how things are happening at this pace. Like start now. That doesn't mean time's on my side. Yeah, dude. Inshallah. When it happens, it'll happen. No, I'm like, wake up. The clock's ticking. It's on your side. Now just move with it. Dance with it. Put some soul with the facts.
All of you leaving here have the potential for enormous success. There's a price that comes with that.
I'm gonna sell you on the following: hard work. And don't buy my hard work course, because there isn't one. There's no hard work sessions, there's no hard work ebook, there's just hard work.
I think the numbers, they say everything. I don't need to say, I'm a minister of football, I'm a legend. The numbers say everything, so.
We're not on this stage just because of talent or ability. We're up here because of 4 a.m.
We're up here because of 2-a-days or 5-a-days. We're up here because we had a dream and let nothing stand in our way.
The point is, every graduate here today has the training and the talent to succeed. But do you have the guts to fail? If you don't fail, you're not even trying.
How many of you decided not to do something because it was hard? Raise your hands, please. I want you to write this down. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. Complain, point at your circumstances, give up your power, blame the government, blame the economy. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy.
Because in the early days, hard was, ooh, stop. This isn't good. I should, this is a warning sign. This is a red flag. I should slow down, or I should stop, I should pivot. But the more I think about it as a competitive landscape, as I'm clear on what this path is supposed to look like, and these rocks and these dragons are things that I'm going to have to slay along the way to get the princess or get the treasure, I get happier about the harder it is because I know that no one else will follow.
It's a selection effect.
And I think if you can shift from this is hard to no one else will be able to do this, then it flips from being this thing that you're like, oh, poor me, to oh, poor everyone else who's going to have to fucking try. And I think that is so much more motivating as a frame for the exact same circumstance.
So, maybe we could leave the jealousy of the successful behind for a while and notice now and then that some of the people who got to where they are actually deserve to get to where they are, and we should be thankful that they exist.
To be in my shoes is not easy, but I'm not complaining. I just want to say that I feel happy. All this happened because the reason is I'm unbelievable inside the pitch. This is why the people have so much interest on me.
I don't think I'm that talented. I do think I've outworked people. I think that's real. I also think it's controllable. And I think anybody who's watching right now, they may not be the most talented entrepreneur or salesman or an amazing craft of content, but if they outwork somebody, that is a variable that feels in control.
If it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington. So, keep working, keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship.
I believe there's time for resting at the end, but for me, that time is not now. Thank you for this tremendous honor in acknowledging my basketball career, but I'm far from done. My next dream is to be honored one day for inspiring the next generation of athletes to have a dream, sacrifice for it, and never ever rest in the middle.
The energy it requires to start doing something is way more than the energy required to continue doing the thing. And that the beginning of doing anything results in the lowest amount of reward, both internal and external, than when you've been doing it for ages.
How often should I do it? Do it until you are producing the results. That's how often you should do it. And you never stop, because once you stop, that's when those negative thoughts will come back. Once you stop, that's when you will begin to doubt yourself. Once you stop, I'm telling you what I know. Yes, every day it's a selling job on you. It's possible. I can do this. I can make this happen. No matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. It's possible. There's nothing as powerful as a made-up mind.
What could you do to improve yourself? Well, let's step one step backwards. The first question might be, why should you even bother improving yourself? And I think the answer to that is something like, so you don't suffer any more stupidly than you have to. And maybe so others don't have to either. It's something like that. Like there's a real injunction at the bottom of it. It's not some casual self-help doctrine. It's that if you don't organize yourself properly, you'll pay for it, and in a big way, and so will the people around you. Now, and you could say, well, I don't care about that, but that's actually not true. You actually do care about that, because if you're in pain, you will care about it. And so you do care about it, even if it's just that negative way, you know. It's very rare that you can find someone who's in excruciating pain who would ever say, well, it would be no better if I was out of this. Sort of pain is one of those things that brings the idea that it would be better if it didn't exist along with it. It's incontrovertible.
It's not an option. And the reason why some of you are not where you're supposed to be, you've given yourself an option. You've given yourself an out. You've given yourself an excuse. You've given yourself room not to do it.
Imagine if you could use pain as a fuel. Imagine if you could use the pain as a passport. Imagine if you could use the pain to push you, to condition you, to prepare you for the stages and the rooms you've got to walk into and the tables you've got to sit at and the stages you have to stand on. What if the pain could make you better? What if the pain could build muscle? What if the pain could cause you to reach higher, to leap farther, to run faster? What if the pain could help you?
Working really hard is what successful people do. And in this text, tweet, twerk world that you've grown up in, remember, just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Don't confuse movement with progress.
You must have some kind of vision for your life. Even if you don't know the plan, you have to have a direction in which you choose to go. I never was the kind of woman who liked to get in a car and just go for a ride. I want to know, where are we going? Do we have a destination? Is there a plan? Or are we just riding? You want to be in the driver's seat of your own life, because if you're not, life will drive you.
People that are hungry know if you want to be successful, you must be willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have.
The skills that you develop along the way, like Steve Jobs learning calligraphy that then became Apple fonts that, you know, transformed how we type. Those early days, that little trench winning in the weeds, oftentimes gives you these huge advantages later on because you have more context than anyone else. And so rather than lament them and hate the fact that you're going through it, remembering that these will be arrows that you put in the quiver that you're going to be using to slay the future bigger dragons. And so
if anything tried to bring us down, we used it to make us stronger. We were never satisfied, never finished, will never be retired. My high school English teacher, Mr. Fisk, I actually paid attention one time in class, and he said, he had this beautiful quote, and it read, "Rest at the end, not in the middle." And I took that to heart.
So people always ask me, they say, why is it that you're working out so hard? 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and you have always a smile on your face. The others are working out just as hard as you do, and they look sour in the face. Why is that? And I told people all the time, I said, because to me, I'm shooting for a goal. So every rep that I do gets me closer to accomplishing that goal, to make this goal, this vision turn into reality. Every single set that I do, every repetition, every weight that I lift will get me a step closer to turn this goal into reality. I couldn't wait for the next exercise, for the next half hour of posing and all the kind of things that you have to do to be a champion. I felt so great knowing where I was going, and I tell you, it worked. I mean, think about it. And at the end, I was just not visualizing just my exercise, but I was really lifting the trophy over my head.
If you've learned anything in your 4 years, I hope it's that education should be for, rather than material advantage, the exhilaration of learning. You've learned too, I hope, as Sophocles assured us, that wisdom is the chief element of happiness. I also hope you've learned enough to recognize how little you know now, at the moment. For today is just the beginning. It's where you go from here that matters. As you commence then, and before you scatter to the winds, I urge you to do whatever you do for no reason other than you love it and believe in its importance.
Sometimes life is hard. Things go wrong. In life, and in love, and in business, and in friendship, and in health, and in all the other ways that life can go wrong. And when things get tough, this is what you should do.
Turn towards the problems that you see and engage with them. Walk right up to them, look them in the eye, and then look yourself in the eye and decide what you're going to do about them.
Some of you have a problem, like you the old standard car, right? The new cars are automatic. They got an automatic starter. You just hit the button, like you don't even do the key no more. You just push the button and it starts on its own. Unfortunately, we weren't made just to start on our own. You got to find your why, and your why is what's going to start you. And so for a lot of you, you're not doing nothing because you don't have any purpose right now. You don't have a sense of purpose. You're not waking up for nobody. And I need you to get that engine. I need that drive, because you know what to do. You're the right person to do it, but you just can't seem to get out of bed. You can't seem to do what you're supposed to do. Every time you come up against a trial or a tribulation, you let it stop you. Like you don't have, if it's not a good car, some people can't even make it over the hill. But if you got an 8-cylinder or a 12-cylinder, it's like it's not even a hill. You put your foot on the gas and you go over. The problem with most of you, you're a 4-cylinder. And when you hit trials and tribulations, you can't make it up the hill.
You always have to be the person who roots for you before everyone else does. And it's usually a single clap in the auditorium for a very long period of time. It is a slow clap that's just you rooting for you. People struggle to do things alone. And the path of the exceptional person is one of an exception, which means that you are not with other people. And rather than fighting that or bemoaning it, see it as an indicator that you're on the right path. Because if everyone else were cheering you on, then it means you're not in the right place, because it means you're just like everyone else, and that's not where you want to be.
Like I used to sit there as a 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old and look at my class and my teachers and I'm like, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show all of you. You think I suck? I'm gonna be the biggest, best person on earth.
So you don't have to worry about revenge or getting back at somebody, making sure they pay. You just have to do the right thing, and the right thing will follow you even when people don't support it.
Someone on the internet thinks what you're doing is stupid or evil or it's all been done before. Make good art. Probably things will work out somehow, and eventually time will take the sting away. And that doesn't even matter. Do what only you can do best. Make good art. The urge starting out is to copy, and that's not a bad thing. Most of us only find our own voices after we've sounded like a lot of other people. But the one thing that you have that nobody else has is you. Your voice, your mind, your story, your vision. So write and draw and build and play and dance and live as only you can. The moment that you feel that just possibly you're walking down the street naked, exposing too much of your heart and your mind and what exists on the inside, showing too much of yourself, that's the moment you may be starting to get it right.
I'll say it again, the future is very expensive. Somebody says, I want to be an engineer. Somebody else says, I want to be an actor. Somebody wants to be a singer, a doctor, a hygienist, an entrepreneur, a hustler, an innovator, a pioneer. Everybody's got somewhere they believe they've been destined to go. And oftentimes we don't hit these targets because we're not considering the cost.
Your dreams aren't going to come true on their own, so it's time to get to work. It's not going to be easy. Great things never get dropped in your lap, and they never start from comfort zones. If you want to be something you've never been, you need to do something you've never done. Just because others didn't have the strength to fight for what they believe in, it doesn't mean that you'll fall to the same weakness.
Don't cry. Don't say you don't have it. Don't say you can't stand it. You got to stand up.
So you know one of your biggest problems is that you keep thinking that there is another you. And for me, I started to accomplish more than I ever have in my life when I realized that there's nobody like me, that there's nobody that can do what I can do. You have to come to the resolve today, now, that you don't need anyone's permission to make your dream a reality.
There are people in your life who are trying to count you out. There are people in your life who are trying to tell you you can't make it, who doubt your gifting, who doubt your greatness. When your family members try to throw dirt on what you're trying to do, I need you to shake it off and step over it. Because you got to get to a place where you recognize I can't be stopped. I need you to develop an attitude that I cannot be stopped. And the world may try to stop you, but I need you to declare I cannot be stopped. Yeah, my destiny is too strong. My dreams are too big. The things that God has for me is too great. I cannot be stopped.
I know you feel icky. I know you feel like dark, right? But stop talking about it. Stop talking to other people about it. Like, stop being negative, because nothing good is gonna come out of being negative. It's okay to be there, but if you're gonna be in a dark space, you gotta change your expectations. Like, you can't expect to attract good people. You can't attract good situations or circumstances. Like, you can't do it doing negative stuff. I don't care how you feel. Say something different. I don't care how you feel. Don't answer the phone with the people who want to gossip.
Okay, if you're going to take responsibility of your life, you have to remove toxic people, negative people, narcissistic people, people that are not serving the vision. You got to come to the resolve that you are going to eradicate negative self-talk. But you got to silence the voices in your head that are telling you, you are not going to make it, you are not going to win, you need a shortcut, you need a cheat code. Eliminate the negative, self-sabotaging voices. Find a mirror and tell yourself, I got this today.
To be able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for what we could be. I don't do well in math. You're right. You ain't never studied. I'm not good in writing because you have never written before. But I dare you to fail in writing for a whole year to see if you can get to the end. I dare you to fail. I dare you to take that same class over and over again. I dare you to stop dropping classes like you soft. Always want to give up. I'm dropping. Why are you dropping?
No one said it was supposed to be easy. So when it gets tough, you gotta get tough.
And so you got to learn how to sacrifice your time. You got to sacrifice. When you want to sleep, you have to wake up. When you want to watch that movie, you got to read that book. You might be hanging on by a thread right now, burned out, on the verge of dropout, but I need you to take a moment and garner up all the belief that you have left in yourself and in the idea of what is possible to make this thing happen.
Life is a series of fights. The worst thing you can do is run away from your fights. Your promotion is in the fight. Your promotion and your next level is about you getting to this war, getting to this battle and winning. But to win fights, you gotta have stamina. You gotta be ready to fight and bounce back, punch and counter punch, jab and jab back. And you better learn how to fight.
It is diligence and dedication that separates the all-time greats from the one-hit wonders. Do you want to do this thing one time? Or do you want to be notorious for winning over and over and over again?
You have to have the mindset that says, I'm not gonna settle for anything less but greatness. I'm not gonna settle for average. I'm not settling for anything less than for what I know I was created to have. So I know life is hard sometimes, but right now I need you to get in position to fight. What's your position to fight? What's your mindset to fight? What's your mentality when you about to fight? You get ready to fight. You know a fight's coming. Your adrenaline begins to pump. Your heart begins to race. Your mind gets right and say, look, I'm not gonna just fight. I'm gonna win this battle, and sucker, you going down.
It's time to fight the good fight of faith. That's right. If you got faith for it, you got to have fight for it. This is not going to come easy. You got to put on your boxing gloves. You got to step into the ring. You got to hear the bell go ding, ding.
It's about pushing yourself and giving it 110% of everything you got. There is nothing that you can do once you're here except finish what you start.
You mentioned there about some of the prices that people need to pay in order to be who they are. The cost of entry, price of doing business, to be a person that other people admire. What do you wish more people knew about the price of success?
Is it worth it? Is it worth it? It's a tough question, and only one person can answer that.
So people don't like to experience failure. But, for example, failure is part payment towards success. So the price of success is always paid in full and in advance. Muhammed Ali said, I hated every moment in the gym, but I did it so I could live the rest of my life like a champion.
But don't you believe that brainwash stuff? You've been watching me train, you watch me dance, and it looked better than I did 10 years ago. Right. I want to train 20 rounds today. They won't let me.
You gotta set the example. This is another obstacle. This obstacle cannot define me. It's not gonna cripple me. It's not gonna be responsible for me stepping away for the game that I love. I'm gonna step away on my own terms. And that's when the decision was made that, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
How much time did you have for yourself on Saturday and Sunday that was not working every minute? Tell me the truth.
A lot.
I know. So that's the punchline. You spent more downtime on not your career this weekend than I did in my entire 20s combined.
When you're watching TV or you're, going out for dinner on a date and you go to a movie, I'm not doing that. No weekends, no evenings really. Luckily for me, I like what I do.
So people always ask me, they say, why is it that you're working out so hard? 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and you have always a smile on your face. The others are working out just as hard as you do, and they look sour in the face. Why is that? And I told people all the time, I said, because to me, I'm shooting for a goal. Every single set that I do, every repetition, every weight that I lift will get me a step closer to turn this goal into reality. No matter how much I bleed on my elbows or my knees, I saw that vision of the perfect scene, and it was an important scene, and I would do it over and over again until we got it.
I was sacrificing everything. I put everything into that business. I sacrificed my social life. I sacrificed my leisure in a way that almost nobody believes me, except a couple of people that knew me then. Nobody can believe the hyperbole that comes out of my mouth, which I'm okay with, I understand, but I gave up everything.
I wish I could back off, but it's fourth quarter. I wish I could tell you something else. I wish I could tell you tired, go take a break. I wish I could tell you tired, rest for a year. I wish I could tell you that it's gonna get easier. I wish I could tell you it's gonna get easier. I wish I could tell you that if you just keep going, it's gonna get lighter. The weight is gonna get light. I wish I could tell you that, but that's not the truth. The truth is you gotta find something within. You gotta find something within, and that's gotta push you, and that's gotta elevate you, and that's gotta drive you, and that's gotta move you. And when you find out what your why is, you don't hit snooze no more. When you find your why, you find a way to make it happen.
And I'm going to tell you two versions of my life so far, both equally true. This is an attempt to be real for a second with each other. Well, here's the first version. Went to NYU Film School on 2 scholarships, graduated in a little over 3 years, made my first film at 21, making me one of the youngest professional filmmakers in history, sold an original script in one of the biggest bidding wars of the time, and then went on to be a writer on 3 films that went on to be the 3 biggest films of that year for 3 studios, wrote and directed nonstop from then till now, culminating at over $3 billion in the theaters, most of which came from original movies out of my head. Word for word, I could argue that I am the highest paid writer in the world. My films have opened #1 in every country in the world countless times. I have never had a job other than a filmmaker. I walk into a room with other filmmakers, and the word I hear most often is honor. It's an honor to meet you. And they say, you are an icon. So now here's the second version of my career. Made a film at 21. It was pulled from 1 theater in 2 weeks. Made a second film that was pulled from a handful of theaters in a couple weeks. 2-time failure at 24. Living in my parents' guest room with my new wife. Sold a script to Fox and was immediately fired by them as the director. Make a few hit films in a row. Then make a film that Newsweek calls the worst film of the year. I make children's films that get roasted and fail. Have a press screening of a film that I love. And in the middle of the press screening, a person stands up and says, this film sucks. Find myself questioning myself, every thought that comes out of my head. The world of my industry has decided I have no worth. I am a cautionary tale, a person who got lucky for a time, but revealed himself to be a sham. I do not believe in myself. How do we explain these 2 versions of a life? I was incredibly powerful at every step of the way, and I didn't see it. I am here to put forth the theory that every one of you is insanely powerful and don't know it.
Well, I think it's important to note that the Stoics are talking about self-discipline, right? So discipline is not, the Marine sergeant telling everyone else what to do, how to be, right? The Stoics are talking about the virtue of self-discipline, which is you have your standards that you selected for yourself, that you are living up to. It's not a weapon that you wield against other people, right? And I think so often when we hear discipline, we think disciplinarian, right? Someone who's really strict. One of the beautiful lines in Meditations, Marcus Aurelius says, remember, tolerant with others, strict with yourself. And actually that itself demands so much more discipline, right? To be like, I never accept being late for me or for other people, right? I work hard, I judge people that are not in shape, right? I expect long hours from everyone that works for me. There's that sort of rigid, strict form of discipline. I have found in my own journey, my own life, that it actually requires more discipline to go, this is what I expect of myself, and this is how I'm wired. This is how I operate best. And then I understand that other people, not only do I not control them, but they have different proclivities, different ways of living, different ways of being. And that my job is to figure out how to adapt myself to them instead of forcing them to be like me.
Exactly. That's kind of how I look at it. It's just the numbers. Like nobody's perfect all the time. Nobody's great all the time. But people will remember you for your greatness when they get to witness it.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something that, people have to understand. Like no matter how good you get, you're still going to have days that are bad.
Yeah.
And I think that's the advice that I would have focused on there, because I didn't really figure that out until I was about 36 years old. I would have sat myself down and had to talk about my own discipline and what it meant to be disciplined in all areas.
Because you weren't as disciplined?
No, I was, at that time at 33, I was 330 pounds. I was drinking all the time, partying all the time. I thought it was cool to be the wild guy, and you know what I'm saying?
Wild man.
Yeah. And that's how I was always that way growing up. And, I wish I would have had someone that sat me down and said, hey bro, that's not as cool as you think it is.
You know what I'm saying? And you're very undisciplined and you're emotionally undisciplined. And if you could develop this discipline now, you will get much further ahead at a much faster rate. Discipline, once you learn it, can be applied to all areas. And so that's the thing that I wish I would have understood at a younger age, that had I had the skills to not only be disciplined in a physical, now, you know, I struggle with my physique. Like, it wasn't like I had never been in shape before. I had just become undisciplined.
Right.
And, you know, I think if I had understood at 33 what that could actually do for me, I would have bought it hook, line, and sinker and dedicated my entire life to it.
And gone all in on it.
Yeah, for sure. The amount of progress that has happened in my life in all areas from the time I started figuring that out to now, I got 20 years worth of results in like 4.5 years.
Amazing.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's the impact of taking true control over your existence, is that it greatly accelerates everything else. I could have saved myself probably 2/3 of the success journey that I was on, just from the shit that I know now that I didn't know then. But more importantly, I could have saved myself tons of mental agony because I could have reassured that, hey, look, this is just the way it goes. And this is just part of the deal. And you signed up for this. And nobody ever tells you those things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay, so how does my day look like? So I wake up early in the morning. I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. The reason why 4 o'clock in the morning, man, it's a struggle waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's not, it's not easy. And I still want to be challenged. So, now it's going to happen. So the monster, the laziness in me, it's not there anymore. When I say that, the laziness, we all have it. The procrastinator, right? The guy who doesn't want to do shit. The alarm goes off at 4 o'clock in the morning. You're like, oh, my leg's kind of hurting this morning. Maybe I shouldn't run. That guy. See, that guy in me, he's gone because he knows that it doesn't work. The thing is, it's going to happen. So when you say, what is my discipline? I've done it for so long. I've been doing it since I was 9. Discipline is your lifestyle. What is your lifestyle, man? Like, okay, so I could teach you to go to the gym, and you and I, we can get totally jacked in the gym, right? And you and I, we have a good 2-hour sessions in the gym. We burned it down. And you go home and you drink a milkshake and eat like crap.
Well, that is the thing that separates the achievements on the other side of it, right? If it was easy, everyone would do it. If it was easy, everyone would achieve it. So this is one of the things that I try and rely on. So I ruptured my Achilles a couple of years ago. That sucked. I wouldn't advise it as an injury. The discomfort that you feel and the pain, the fear of it re-rupturing, which is the number one thing you don't want it to have happen. The thing that I went back to in my mind was, this is why I'm here. The discomfort that I was feeling, the effort, the pain, the sweat, this is why you're here, was the reminder. It's like, look, this is the reason why the re-rupture rate is 5 to 10%, because people don't want to do this thing. People don't want to do the thing because it hurts, because it takes half an hour every single day for nearly 12 months. It's a full 12-month recovery. That's why. This is why you're here. And I think that you're right. I think that the selection is, people deep down know that picking up heavy things physically, psychologically, existentially, culturally is good for us. And I think that that's why it's attractive.
Life is one big mind game. And you're playing it with yourself. Is it true? I don't care. It got me through the hardest training, starting out broken. Where most people quit, I had just started.
Wow.
And when you take that mindset and you learn to flip that around, that's what made me powerful. God put me in a very interesting spot of life where he made hell my teacher. He made hell my teacher. And a lot of people don't understand that. So I'm trying to give people a different thought process of life where failure, hell, disappointment, discomfort is a great learning tool. And many people don't understand that. And a lot of people won't even understand this interview when we get done with it. But it's these few moments in life that you have. Like for me, I always talk about it. Rocky 1, round 14. That 1 2-minute and 13-second clip of Rocky getting up when Apollo knocked him down. That one clip, when I was going through a very bad time in my life, I saw what I wanted to be. And it wasn't a guy that won. It wasn't a guy that won everything he did. It was a guy that kept getting up after being knocked down. So I realized if that 2 minutes and 13 seconds changed my life, that's all it was. I saw something that I needed to be in the world I was living in. Millions of people live in a very comfortable place, that's fine. Don't listen to me. A lot of people are looking for that 2 minutes and 13 seconds.
So again, I would love to be able to, give you this profound anchor that people need to have. But it's like, oh, do you want to do this or not? Do you actually want to do this or not? Because if you actually want to do it, what's going to stop you? Nothing. And if you don't really want to do it, what's going to stop you? Just about anything that comes up. Just about any obstacle that gets in your way becomes an excuse. It becomes a reason. It becomes a rationale for not proceeding down that path. And this is interesting too. When you talk to people that went to SEAL training that didn't make it, most of the time it's some reason. There's a medical reason. There's a family problem. There's very few people that look at you and say, oh, I quit because it sucked. Which is what happens to the vast majority of people. They don't usually say that. And even in their mind, they probably don't believe it. They probably believe, well, it was my leg, and once my leg was hurting, I knew I was gonna have a hard time on the runs, and since I wasn't gonna be able to make the runs, that's why I quit. But it wasn't really quitting, it was because of my leg. So it's like I said, it's a very strange and really kind of a mystical thing.
Excuses. You're talking there about people making excuses. What have you come to learn about the nature of excuses and if they are our friends, our enemies, if they're ever useful?
Your excuses will destroy you and take everything that you ever wanted from you if you let them.
Doesn't sound like a friend.
No, it's definitely not a friend. So when your excuses make you feel a little bit better about the fact that you didn't execute on what you needed to execute on, then they can make you feel better, but they're not helping you. They're not helping you at all.
Is that what when you think about extreme ownership? Are excuses the opposite? Excuses and blame, is that the opposite of extreme ownership?
That is the opposite of extreme ownership. Extreme ownership is, this went wrong, this failed, didn't accomplish this, and it's not the fault of my boss, it's not the fault of my girlfriend, it's not the fault of my parents, it's not the fault of the weather, it's my fault. And I'm gonna take ownership of it, and I'm gonna fix it. That's what extreme ownership is. And this is a very difficult thing to do because it hurts. Because when you look around at your life and you look around at your job and your financial situation and your relationship and your physical health, and when you look at all those things and all the problems that you may have with those things, and you say, the reason I have all those problems is because of me, that can hurt. That can sting. And a lot of times our ego rejects that and makes excuses and lies. And then we don't have to change anything. And then nothing changes.